The best teacher I've ever had is looking in the mirror and finding out who I am and owning up to who I'm not. Welcome, everybody, to Let's Talk About It. A podcast is a platform for real talk, real people, real topics, real conversations. People following me on YouTube right now, thank you so much for following me. Hit that like button, hit that notification button. When this episode drops out, other episodes drops out, you will know automatically. People following me on audio, listen to me on audio. Thank you so much for the downloads. Please like, subscribe. I'm trying to build that up as much as I can. People on Spotify, Apple, iHeartRadio, especially to my Apple listeners. Thank you so much. I appreciate you because my subscriptions are going up on that one and the downloads are going up on that one. Today, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to end this part of the afterthoughts of my story, part 5. I'm closing all my doors. I'm moving on. I've had many conversations about this, from my part 1, 2, and 3, and 4. Good feedback, some negative feedback, doesn't matter. I'm doing this for healing for myself, and you'll understand why I'm doing this story. Now, there's one thing I would like to tell you. I did this story for healing. A lot of people, they like to do life coaches, psychiatrists, and stuff like that. I do it by conversation. I know that some people will get this story, some people are not, but some people have. And if my story can affect or change or give some type of bright light or okay, yo, I'm not alone in this. I hope it reaches out to you. Last part of the story, I was in Jersey, just got divorced after 18-month marriage. And I'm going to go back to a little bit, we decided, to go our separate ways because we didn't know each other. We didn't have those tough conversations. That's why I learned right now. You got to have those tough conversations. Right now, when you date somebody, it's all happy, go lucky. I mean, you want to see that person get the butterflies and shit like that. You can't wait to be with that person. But after looking back on now, we did not know each other. We didn't know each other enough. We had a lot of baggage that we brought into relationships. A lot of people say, don't bring your baggage into your relationship and talk about it. We didn't do that. And that's why I went back. I had to think about that. Me and my ex-wife, we did not talk about what our fears was, what our don'ts was our flags. And I think a lot of people should do that, and they had those uncomfortable conversations because you never know how it's going to go. Because if you don't have those uncomfortable conversations, you'll never, you know, prosper in your relationship. So at this time, I moved to Colorado. I said last time I was going to go to Vegas. I said no because I'm probably getting in trouble there, being a single guy. No, went to Colorado for the money, and it was a whole change. So after traveling all the way across the country, finally getting to Colorado, never set foot in it. I settled in Aurora, Colorado. It's actually a good area. It's on the south side of Aurora. People in Colorado would know. They call it ritzy and stuff like that, but it was like 5, 6 miles from my job. And I loved it. It was a good area. Very different. Altitude, very high up. It says 1 mile up. Now I felt like it was 10 miles up. So it was hard to believe. It was hard to breathe out there. So then, you know what? I was like, I was talking to a guy from Jersey, like, yo, man, start dating. And now I look back on now, you know, dating was, I think, a way for me to forget my ex-wife, to forget about her. Because my mind was, okay, I'm going to find somebody new that's going to understand me, that's going to stand by me. You know what I mean? I'm like, because at that time, I didn't think like she was, standing by me, that she didn't, understand me. Because I was blaming. I was blaming. Like, a lot of us do. Like, instead of looking in the mirror at ourselves and taking accountability for what they've done. So, it was something that was very, very weird because, Colorado is probably 76% white. Only it was only at the time, I think it was like 4% black or whatever. So it was a lot of new type of dating. I guess what you call like interracial dating. Like, I was a new guy on the block. And a lot the interracial stuff was starting to really, really pick up out there. I don't know because of the myths or stereotypes or whatever it was. You know what I mean? I got hit up a lot. And I mean, I'm not gonna lie to you. I was a very popular guy, like, when I first got there. But getting to know Colorado people, that's something that was very, very different. I had to get to know them at the job I transferred to from Jersey to Colorado. Coloradans, and you guys know, you guys are different. You guys are very different. Now, you're very sarcastic people, but I give you this: you're down to earth. You don't sugarcoat anything. It's very peaceful out there. You don't want to argue. You're very soft spoken. And a guy coming from Philly and Jersey, like, we loud. I'm saying, like, we just loud people. So what I'm learning at that time is to adjust to a whole new type of people. Even though they're very sarcastic, they don't like to give it. They can't stand when you give it back to them. You know what I'm saying? Like, they don't like that. You Coloradans know. Meeting people out there. Like, I met a friend of mine, Laura. I think she was on my podcast. It's a friend of mine out there. She's a very good person, hardworking woman. Much respect to her. Love her to death. Meeting all type of different people. Like, like my man Troy, who works at my old job out there. He's from Philly. That's great. I gotta give a special shout out to CJ before I move on. CJ, man, you introduced me to a whole nother world out there, man. I've never been to a topless strip bowling alley before. I've never been to a midget strip club before. No, they got one here in Charlotte. But the first time experience, man, midget strip club. Bro, that was crazy. That's a story for another time. Like, that was insane. CJ, I appreciate you, man. Like, that was just an insane experience. I am not gonna lie to you. But adjusting this, let me move on. It's like I'm adjusting to the difference in my job. And I got a problem with that. It was a lot harder, a lot of work, but Colorado was different. It's a good area to live in, but I'm learning. Like I'm talking to different people, having conversations. They're more calmer. I'm still angry in angry mode. Like, because I'm like pointing the finger, like, yeah, this person did this person did that. Like I said, we gotta look in the mirror and find out like who we are. We gotta find out who we are and own up to who we're not. And it took me a while to like get that, to look in the mirror. So I can tell you right now, you can go back on my story or whatever, but Colorado changed me a lot. It calmed me down. Colorado is a whole different type of animal. So as I'm going along with this journey, like I meet the first key pivotal person in my life. It probably was my IP, Tammy. She was out there. We dated and stuff like that. But we met each other the wrong time. Great person. She was listening to me about me anger, talking about this, talking about that, but she was more calm. So I learned calmness and peacefulness from her. And I appreciate her for that. It just didn't work out. But the real big pivotal moment is of calmness and moving on was my friend Julie. She's my stepdaughter's mom. Like, my stepdaughter's married to my son. And Julie was a whole different type of animal. Like, we met, we was friends. She was my friend. I talked about her before. Very beautiful woman. We met a couple of times, right? While I was out there in Arizona. And people was start rumors about how we look good together, this and that. But it wasn't about that. It was about we had conversation. We talked. She talked about her ups and downs, her life, her dating, and my dating. And I started to become less angry. She helped me look in the mirror at myself. Because she was telling me that. Even strangers, this one stranger told me, like, oh man, like, listen, you need to look in the mirror and take accountability of what you've done. Because I've done a lot of shit. But, I learned a lot from her, and I take that in, and I love that. I started to travel by myself. I stopped dating out there. Now, I mean, you have fun here and there, or whatever. You meet people, and sometimes work, sometimes don't work. But I started being by myself and just working, and just like, I started my gym journey. But I started my gym journey actually for the wrong reasons, because, even before I stopped dating because of the gym journey. Because, you're meeting people and they tell, oh man, like, no, you look so much bigger in your pictures and all like that. So I went to the gym and I'm up trying to kill myself, make myself bigger. Ladies and gentlemen, I am never gonna be bigger. I'm always gonna be lean muscle. And I had to own up to that. It took me many years to own up to that. But I'm good with that now. That's what I learned. But I started getting into myself, and Julie, she was like talking me through stuff, and she was my friend, and I loved her for that. She was my friend. A lot of people say a male can't have a female friend. They're wrong. She was my friend, and I love her for that. I always will. Uh, I get to the point, I'm learning Colorado. It's a good time. I mean, my daughter came out there. That's a story for another time. Uh, but I thought I needed change. I needed more diversity. You know, so that's when I kind of rekindled with an old friend of mine. I'm not gonna say her name. Uh, we was together before, and I thought everything was gonna work out. I mean, and it just didn't work out the way I wanted to. And because this is the time where, like, we're having fun, we're talking on the phone, we're doing what we gotta do, and I'll come up to the point where everything changed for me. I got the call from hell. I'm working out one night. I forgot, it was on Saturday night. I'm working out one night, and I get that call that my daughter, Sherelle, has passed away. And I'm in shock. As a parent, no parent wants to lose their child. No parent. No parent wants to lose their child. She was in her 30s. She had my grandkids. She just had one. Anyway, to go back to it, she overdosed over trying cocaine for the first time. It was laced with fentanyl, and she overdosed and she passed away. And what the sad part about it is, um, excuse me, she passed away in front of my three grandkids, right in front of them. And that was something I could not understand. I was trying to get answers. I didn't understand. I'm trying to figure out what the hell's going on. My baby girl, my firstborn, is gone. I'm thinking about that now. It took a big hole out of me, took a chunk out of my life. I'm still reeling from it from the day. I still feel the hurtness, the anger of that. Why is she gone? I'm still here. And out of all the things I've done in my life, you should took me instead of her. But she's gone. And then I had to go back to Philly to put her to rest. And I'm thinking about it now. That was a big transition for me. Like, I didn't know what to do. I mean, like, I talked about it in my story before, but this is with my afterthoughts. It was very tough to go to your daughter's. The first part, it's like three parts of it. You go back to Philly. The first part that's hard is you go to your child's viewing. You walk in that room, you see her laying there. She was like 20, like maybe 15 yards in front of me. Took me like half an hour to get there. I'm walking slowly, like I'm walking quicksand. You're watching your child laying there, gone. Can't understand it. Trying to figure out why. Why? No parent should have to bury their child. None. The second part of that I go back to is the day of the funeral. Um, the person I was with at the time, she was there with me, and I thought she was giving me like support. But we'll get into that one later on. But the second part, you know, it's a difference when you're sitting in the front row at a funeral. We all been to funerals, but it's nothing like sitting in the front row. A parent, loved one, that hits differently when you sit in the front row. That's a feeling that nobody wants to go through, especially if your own child. And then you got to put that veil over her for the last time. And they close that casket. The last ones where you're sitting there at the cemetery and everybody tells you that the person giving the sermon or whatever, they're going home. In my mind at that time, her home was there with me and us. That's where it is. And you seeing your child being lower in the ground, and it kills you. You're watching it just go down slowly. And you don't know what to do. You can't bring them back. You don't have the power to do that. And how do you move on from that? Well, the person I was seeing at the time, we was with each other. And what got me was she was singing in the car. Not by me, in the car. That hurt me. But it didn't hit me at that time. I'll get into it more later on. But at the same time, I had to get down here to Charlotte to sign my lease because I was transferring down here to Charlotte. But also at that time, a week later, I had to go put on a happy face for my son who was getting married. So I've said before, you bury your child, and then a week later, you got to go all the way to Arizona to put on a happy face for your son. And you're thinking the person who's with you, which I never talked about this before, that's supporting you. You're not really seeing it. Support means everything to me. It didn't hit me till like later on, but I'm thinking about it now. I was so blinded by like all the false pretenses. I got you. I got you. I got you. I'm going to be there for you. And some of you know that, you know, people say they got you until something bad happens. And sometimes, you get blinded by it because I'm going through all type of emotional shit. So I go celebrate my son's wedding. And then I have to be happy for him. And it was something that happened at that wedding that I was very, very happy about. My first ex-wife, she got remarried again, to her husband now. He was there. And, him and I wasn't seeing eye to eye. But I commend him credit because he was the only person at that wedding who said he was sorry that I lost my daughter because he's a father himself. I commended him for that. Now let bygones be bygones in my mind. I moved on. But think about that. I've never talked about this before. I lose my daughter. I go to a wedding. People know. And nobody said anything. Well, I get, you could say something proudly, but maybe they want to talk about, it's a joyous occasion. But I never heard even after the fact. That's fucked up. I'm saying what I'm saying. It is what it is. This is my story. So after this wedding's over, I gotta go back to Colorado. But before I get back to Colorado and move to Charlotte, get into it with the person I'm with. We have a discussion. I said, why weren't you there for me? You know what I mean, right? Because I got in an argument with somebody. I think it was my ex-wife or somebody. And you say you always gonna have me. You're not gonna let nobody talk to me like that. And I need you. I said, I don't have time for all this. I gotta protect myself. I can't get involved with that nonsense. I got a career to protect. I got this to protect. But you said to me, you got me no matter what. But you don't have my back. I just went through this not so long ago. And that's what I was trying to explain. Do not tell someone you have their back. And when bad shit happens, you got to protect yourself because you don't want to get involved. Don't do that. Don't say anything, because when people say they got your back, you won't know until it happens. That's what I learned from this whole situation. Now, some people will get that, some people won't. I had to go through all that, and I had to come to Charlotte. I had to go, deal with my daughter being gone, starting a new job over again. And at this time, looking back on it, I'm still running. I didn't deal with it. I didn't deal with all my past stuff. I still was kind of like pointing fingers, not really looking at myself. I was getting better in my journey. I'm still pointing fingers. And plus dealing with losing my daughter. Because I'll never forget the Christmas after she was gone. Like, I got into the gym journey big time. Big time. I mean, I got into it big time. Christmas Day, I never forget. I worked out 3 times that day, killing myself. I mean, like working myself over like too much. I was overworking myself in the gym. I didn't want to do that. So the gym actually saved my life, kept me humble. Because I tried different things like before I even got here. I was thinking about, ending my own self a couple of times. And it was like crazy, you know. And that year was crazy for me because a few months later, I found out my sister-in-law passed away of breast cancer. That was a tough time. And I love that woman. She was a great woman. She left my brother with 3 kids. He has to raise. Then I found out that the person that was my friend, Julie, her life was taken by a coward in her sleep. And she was my friend. And I go back and talk about that because I remember when she was going through the dating scene, she was showing me different guys she was dating. And she was talking about this guy, how sweet he was. But she was looking at the other guy. So it's like, no. If he's treating you good, go with that guy. And I wish I never did. Because she probably still be here. I take that ownership, even though I didn't know what was going to happen. But that would never leave me. That was hurtful because she was my friend. She was taken away from me. We was both looking forward to our grandson coming in, Corbin. And she never got that experience. And I always felt guilty for that. I'm going through my life. Like I said, I'm you can go back on my story. I think, after going through all that, and especially I started rekindling back when I was younger, losing 3 parents in a row, my mother, my father, and my grandma back to back years. Then to that year, my daughter passed away, and then my sister-in-law, and then my friend who helped me save my life. All 3 of them passed away in 1 year. I hit my lowest time. I hit my rock bottom. I hit it bad. I was going to take myself. I was going to take myself out. I was there. Straight up 100% there. 100%. I didn't put a post on some social media. And one person got back to me. Thank goodness she did. Was Tammy Lynn Connors. She had a podcast called Hope, helping other people evolve. I've talked about this before. I've talked about Tammy many times, but I'm going to tell you right now. And Tammy knows this. If she didn't reach out to me and invite me on her podcast, where she made me feel very, very comfortable, I would not be here. I would not be recording this. I would not be here at all because I was done. I was done. This is like my second or third time being done. For some reason, I'm still here. For some reason. And I owe her for that. You know, some people were saying, oh man, like she just invites you on the podcast. How'd she save you? Yes, she did. Because I met her at the right time in my life where I can tell my story. I can feel comfortable about it. I can be me, not acting like somebody else. And I thanked her for that. And I still thank her for that every single day. I mean, like I'll even put the podcast in descriptions down below. Please like, subscribe, comment, people on YouTube, audio, please like, subscribe, downloads. Thank you. And she helped me. She helped me so much to where she saved me. You know, I'm not gonna get too much into it, but she did. And she's my friend today. I love that woman. And she inspired me to start my own podcast, which I'm on right now. You know, let's talk about it with Lou J. But at first I wasn't going to do it. I was like many people. All right, yeah, you know, they got the podcast idea. You know, I get to it sooner or later. But it took me getting injured to do it. And I still wasn't going to do it. But at the time I had a friend named Nanette. She's my friend. We talked all the time. She has my back. And she's like, do it. You can do this. You need to tell your story. You need to express yourself. You need to be creative. You need to do your own thing. You know, because when I looked up podcasts, it said, you know, you got to have a certain platform. Like, no, I wanted mine to be like a menu in a restaurant, like Highway. You could pick chicken, fish, crab, tofu, vegetarian, whatever. I want to have different topics, different people, different journeys, wrestling, whatever. Brothers talk, couples talk. What I just wanted to be like a network. I could do my own thing. I could be creative and free. And I gotta looking back on now, thank you for Tammy having her podcast. And thank you for Nan for supporting me in the beginning of that journey. Because if she didn't, I wasn't gonna do it. And she pushed me to do it. And I appreciate you way more than you ever will know. You was there for me. Thank you. You know, I started off and I needed my first guest, and I had to put Tammy Lynn on there. And it didn't work out the way I wanted to because I forgot to hit the record button, the cloud. And it didn't come out. But thank goodness she came back. It was growing pains, man. It was growing pains doing this. You know, you're stammering, stuttering, which I still do now. But I had to learn. I had to get more comfortable. I was scared. I was scared all the time. I had to learn. But what I've learned about doing this, it showed my creativity. It showed I love to have conversation. And those conversations, I've learned something from everybody that helped me in my journey today. I love to have conversation. Before coming up, I was afraid to have conversation. You try to, people say, oh man, what was it, an interview? Nah. But this podcast has helped me out so much, right? To where I met my friend Mario. I mean, we do a Wrestle Talk podcast together. You know, he got creative. It helped him out. It helped him be more open out there and get his personality more, even though he was doing TikTok stuff like that. But this man has come on his own. He's hosting our podcast now. He's doing a magnificent job. And I consider him as my friend. You know, I love that dude, man. We had such chemistry. We're so different, but he's my friend. We have a great time with our wrestling podcast. It's all underneath Let's Talk About It with Lou J. It was discovering the art of conversation is key to me. It's teaching me how to be a better person. It's teaching me how to do everything, because doing a podcast, you got to be patient. You got to be consistent. And the gym taught me that as well, to be patient and consistent. Consistency means everything. It's also me being consistent and learning how to discover myself, learn how to have a conversation. I love it. It saved my life. I'm learning something new every day. But at the same time, I'm struggling with the passing of my daughter, because it took a hole, it put a little hole, a little chunk out of my heart. It really did. It took a chunk out of my heart. It really took a chunk out of my heart. And I'm trying to deal with that. I had little episodes here and there. I'm thinking about I'm done with this. But then I had to realize that I can get through this, because this podcast was meant for me. It was meant for me to do. That's why all the other attempts didn't work. And I had to own up to that. I had to own up to looking in the mirror and becoming a man, owning up to my responsibilities, owning up to my failures. And what I've learned from doing this podcast the most, even when you own up to your failures and your responsibilities, you can apologize to everybody all you want. Not everybody's going to take that apology. They'll say, yeah, thank you so much. But they're still angry. That's okay. They'll say they forgive you, but a lot of them don't forgive you. And they're still angry. And they know who they are. But I had to forgive myself for what I've done. That's what I did. That's why I talked about it. Because I've done some shit, man. I've been through a lot of things from my childhood to being called stupid, like having a chronic stutter problem, which I still stutter now. I had to overcome that, but the podcast helped me through that. Outside this, I'm good. Like, you know what I'm saying? Have a good life. You know what I mean? Even at work, there's no problems there, because I'm good at what I do. It is what it is. Some people know me at work. I'm good at what I do. But sometimes in my private life, I have self-doubt. That's what I'm learning now. Issues, not feeling worthy. But the podcast helps me get through that, to be creative, to like helping other people, helping myself. Because God knows, like, man, we're our worst critics. That's how much this podcast means to me, because I get the chance to be creative, helping myself, like, mentally and creatively, and pepper myself up to where I can look in the mirror and I say, all right, you know what? I'm doing damn good. Um, it means the world to me. You know, I remember, I met my girlfriend now from it, off the podcast. You know what I mean? Um, it wasn't supposed to go that way. We was talking about kettlebells. That's it. And then we did we met up and worked out with each other, and it was instant chemistry. Didn't see it coming, because I was planning on being out, going down to Florida. But, we had instant chemistry. We got into a relationship. And off of that, because I'm black and she's white, there's a lot of controversy with that. A lot of controversy with interracial relationships. They only really call it interracial relationships when you got a black male and a white woman. They really don't call it interracial where you got somebody white and Spanish, or Asian and white, or whatever. They really don't call it that. I don't think nobody has a problem with anybody else, or black women, white men, or black men with Spanish women, or white women with Asian men, whatever. Nobody has a problem with it until you're a black man with a white woman. Because I've heard it all. Sell out, I'm this, I'm that. I deal with that. You know what I mean? Right? You only like her for her skin. Yeah, there you go. I like her for her skin. That's it. I don't like her for her mind, her brain, whatever. Doesn't matter, man. People go feel what they go feel. The people I was talking to at the time, they had a problem with it, I guess, and they stepped off too. They want to step off, fuck them. Yeah, I mean, people go to say something, they go to say something. And I can tell you right now, this is what I learned, and this is off topic. Like, if you a man out there and you're seeing somebody of another race and they got a problem with it, that's their problem, man. That's their issue. If you, I don't care who I'm with, it doesn't matter to me. But according to everybody else, I only like it for a skin color. So whatever. Just be you. Be the person you want to be. Love who you want to love. Because guess what? Not everybody gonna like it. Not everybody will like even your own culture. Be like, oh man, you a sellout. You this, you that. Yeah, you don't know me, man. You don't know me. It doesn't matter because see, all that negative stuff that you're talking about right now, saying that you a sellout, you this, you that. How can you not be with your own or sister or whatever, some shit like that? Don't matter. It's not gonna stop me. It's not gonna stop her. People gonna say even her own coach can go against her. Why would it stop her? Who cares? You ain't paying our bills. You ain't cooking for us. You ain't taking us on vacation. You ain't doing none of that. So who cares? So if you in that situation, don't even worry about it. Let them hate. Let them hate. And don't forget, the biggest stereotype against a black dude with a white girl, we don't like them for we only like them for their skin anyway. That's what they say. So just go with it. You know what I mean? you know, I start having people drop out of my life for doing this because I'm doing me. I'm gonna get back on track. Um, but when I got into a relationship, I had to think about this. I was scared. I was scared. Can I give my whole heart? Because I have a big problem with that. Some people know this. You can deal with other people. They could be evolved. They can be more than you are with them, and they're great people. But you can't get on that level with them. But when you get in a relationship, my biggest thing I had to get over was, can I give my heart totally to this relationship? Because I was scarred. I'm still scarred. I'm scared of failing again. I'm scared of because I had two failed marriages, failed relationships. I'm scarred. Can I give everything to it? But then I had to learn, like her and I, we had to have discussions, conversations. I think the best thing that ever happened to us when we went on our cruise, and we had no phones. We had to talk. So that's the best thing I could tell anybody. What I learned: have a have a weekend or week or night without no phones. Or have a conversation. You'll get more closer and together. Because you know how it is. You go out to restaurants or talk to everybody. You could be on the phone and talk to somebody, and then you're still looking at your phone, barely listening to that person. Have a conversation without the phone. No phones. And that's when you'll know if that person is due to be in your life. Right? And that's true. But I had to get over the fear of, can I love fully? Will she love me? Is she being real? Because I've been burnt so many times with the person I was with at that time. You know what I mean? Does she have my back? Because like I said before, ladies and gentlemen, you're going to meet people all the time that's going to say, who can, they'll say, I got your back. You know what I mean? And the one biggest thing I want everybody to take away from this, you will know who you have in your life when you're physically or mentally ill. You'll see how way they support you at that time. Because everybody's all good when you're healthy and nice and blah, blah, blah. Oh, I got you and this and that. But when you're down and you're physically or mentally ill, you will find out who's in your corner. And that's not just relationships, that's just people in general. Because everybody say, I got you, I got you. But that's what I learned from that one. And I'm tired of losing people. I just recently lost another friend, Jimmy. Jimmy was my friend from back in Jersey. And I love that man. He's a good man. Fought 4 different cancers, but one finally got him. And he's gone. I don't understand. But I know we all have to go. What I'm learning from this past journey, from this journey now, to live your life to the fullest. Live for today. Live right now. Live. I do it. I live for the fullest. You know, I've met people through this journey. Especially, you know, I've learned from a lot of people through this journey, especially on the podcast. You know, had many conversations, right? My man Donnie D, like, you know, me and him, we haven't seen each other in years, man. That's my boy, right? I mean, him and his wife T came on my podcast and, you know, gave me one of the best podcasts as a couple, meant to be. I love their story. They're good people. You know, you gotta surround yourself. So what I'm saying is you gotta surround yourself with good people. You surround yourself with good people, you will gravitate to be a better person. You surround yourself around bad people, you're gonna be just like them. Negative people, you're gonna be negative. Toxic people, you're gonna be toxic. Surround yourself around good people. That's what it's about. You know what I mean? Right. I'm at a point now where a lot of people were shocked. Right. You know, I told my girl about it. I even told Tammy about this. I told Tammy about this. I told my cousin Tammy about it too. I'm reading the Bible. I'm reading the Bible because I want to learn. I want to understand it. I want to understand what everybody's talking about. I want to understand the way I want to read it. And I want to understand why my grandmother read it 4 times. And I'm learning stuff from it. I'm not saying I'm going to be like, you know, going to church and all this stuff like this and that, whatever, because I'm a spiritual guy. I believe in a higher being. But I want to understand the Bible. I want to understand the science, right? You know, from the Big Bang Theory. I want to understand that. I want to get into more of that. I'm learning. I want to get better. That's what I've learned from my past journey the last 4 or 5 years. I don't know if it's going to help anybody, but you have to grow. You have to look at yourself in the mirror and take accountability for anything you've done wrong. But you have to grow. You have to enjoy your life every day. Not part-time, every day. I don't care what it is. I don't care if you want to go out all the time, this and that. It's only 24 hours in a day. Majority of us is like 4, 5, 6 hours sleeping, maybe 8. But the other times, make it count. Because knock on wood, we are not guaranteed tomorrow. Make it count. To end this, ladies and gentlemen, I met some good people on this podcast. I met some good people in life, but majority good podcasts. I've learned from a lot of conversations, amazing conversations. Go back on the archives, you'll see some great podcasts. I do this because I love it. I do this because it saved my life. I do this because this podcast means more to me than anything. It saved my life. It's making me better. It's helping out some people. So if you're watching this, thank you so much. And that's it for me. Everything I've learned on my last part of my journey. You know, my daughter's not here anymore. And I'm not gonna lie, it gets worse every year. At times. My birthday just passed. It's a killer for me. It's hard. It's very, very hard for me. Very, very hard for me. I just need her here. I need her here. I miss the phone calls. I I just I miss her. I miss my mom. I miss having a father. I miss a grandmother. I miss my friends. And I get it, we all lose people. But dealing with that, it's tough. This podcast has helped me, has saved my life. Will I ever do it forever? No, but it's helping me heal. You can say go to a psychiatrist or whatever. That's your bag. This is what I do because for years I have let myself not express myself. I'm expressing myself. I do it the way I want to do it. If you feel the way you want to do it your way. But don't put shame on me or put me down for doing it my way. You will support me, you're not going to support me. I thank everybody who is subscribed to my podcast. Thank you. Thank you for helping me heal. Thank you for, subscribing and liking the content I'm putting out there. Because I want to talk to real people. When you drive along down the road, when you're walking down in a mall, crowded area, everybody has a story. Everybody has a topic. Let's talk about it. And to end this right here, they always say, like, you heard the old saying, put some respect on my name. Not me. I put respect on my name.